Canadian racers, make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from pro1safety.ca. Pro One Racing and Safety Products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro One Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro One Racing and Safety Products. Join the winners. Choose Pro One. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at pro1safety.ca.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. I'm your host, Brandon Barker, with my excellent co-host, Andrew Stark. Andrew, lovely to have you back.
Excellent. Glad to be back.
Nice to see you again. Yes, sir. It feels like it's been a long time.
This has been a long 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, there's been a lot that's gone on since then. So before we get heavy into it, this week's show episode is presented by pro1safety.ca. So, lots of dealers over there, all your fire suit needs, seatbelt needs, everything like that, left to right, as we did last time for the dealers. You can get this from Travis Ringith, TNT Motorsports, covering Western Canada, and then whipping over Jonathan DeVries, Matt's Auto Racing, taking care of Ontario, Jerome Bellew in Quebec from Octane Performance, and on the other side, on the right side of Canada, Jason McNeil, J&B Racing, covering the Maritime provinces. So anything you need, Pro One Safety Products, even just this, show it right there. And then we did well. We didn't plan this out for the hats. It
worked out well. Yeah,
it did. But yeah, so thank you to everybody over at Pro One Safety. Make sure you check them out. Any questions? Andrew and I both use their products.
Yeah.
So yeah, shoot us a message if you're interested in things that you like, don't like, what you want to try, and pricing for all of it.
Absolutely. So
thanks to those guys. Also, before we get too deep into what we've got going on for Canadian drag racing, Andrew, I'm going to touch on a little bit of the legacy for Bill Bader Sr. and his impact on Canadian drag racing.
So a couple of weeks ago, the unfortunate news broke that Bill Sr. had passed away, and it was the timing of it was just weird. That it was like the Sunday of the Norwalk Nationals, the biggest race at Norwalk, the pinnacle, essentially North Central national event, and that Bill's track of all days for something to happen. And it there was a lot of great write-ups I found over the next week of people reflecting on Bill Sr.'s impact on them, their racing, how he grew Norwalk, his IHRA tenure from 98 to basically 2005, before Norwalk switched to NHRA, and IHRA was essentially Baderless, right? But one of the things that was great was how he impacted a lot of people personally, and the racing side of things was huge. But one of the things that I kind of felt I missed when I was reading one of these was, what his impact was on an entire country, and not just like the US, because they're very, they're big, they're pro, America. And I don't blame them. Like that's, they're very proud of their country, as they should be. But I think something that got lost just because of the Canadian aspect of it was how impactful he was and his family was on Canadian racing, and from an angle that, he essentially brought meaningful national event racing, drag racing, back to Canada. When NHRA left in the early 90s, there was this vacuum of professional sports, a lot of local series that popped up. Neil Armstrong has, a pro mod series that ran for many years. There were many series out west, but there isn't any national series. The Winston Championship racing that was, again, divisional racing was gone. And in 2000, Grand Bend got the inaugural Canadian Nationals. And, from 2000 and on, all of a sudden, national event racing was in Canada. and it was IHRA. And that was something that Bill, with the track operators at Toronto Motorsports Park, formerly Cayuga Dragway, and when they signed, they literally signed and rebuilt the entire track for an IHRA national event. In 2002, they were still building the track when they hosted it. And 2003, they'd finished it for their second event. Edmonton signs, and no one in the world, everyone I spoke to for the last 2 weeks, Rob Reeves, Chevy Reeves, Paul Spreet, Neil Armstrong, no one believed that Bill would go to Edmonton, and other than the Reeves themselves. And when they did, it was the biggest event on the IHRA schedule, next to Norwalk's, World Finals. And it was very successful and has been. And, it's one of these things where I feel like it was missed in the conversations because it wasn't an American thing. And not that it's a negative. It's just that the impact in Canada was huge. Paul Spreet told me in, no short order, Grand Bend's not the facility that it is if they don't get a national event, right? Cayuga's no different. He built a family feel out of it. The Summit Super Series, they had a world championship format. Will Steckley, who's an Ontario racer out here, was a world champion in IHRA before Bill bought it. But the Super Series concept was Bill's idea of how do we get every track that we sign to be able to allow their racers to run in a world championship without forcing everyone to drive from Louisiana to Alberta and Alberta to, Miramichi and Miramichi down to Texas. And the 40 round deal that initially started this, where it's your best record, was his deal. And in 2003, our first Canadian world champion in the deal was crowned when Steve Dornbosch won the championship. And these are all things that I remember growing up that were huge, because Steve won an IHRA World Championship in Canada at Toronto Motorsports Park on a Sunday afternoon, racing against Doug Bell, who was the only other person on the planet who had a chance to beat Steve. And Steve drove his Jimmy from Sarnia down to Cayuga, Ontario to run Street ET against Doug Bell. Steve was 37-3. Had the tiebreaker in average reaction time, which was 5:10, which is stellar when you think of 40 rounds of competition. Doug was 32-2. He wins Sunday. He's 38-2, and he's the world champion. All this took place at Toronto Motorsports Park on a Sunday afternoon, and Steve raced Doug in the final round. Had to go all the way to the final, beat Doug so that they're both 37-3. And he wins it off the tiebreaker. And these things don't happen if Bill doesn't have this vision of what Canadian racing can bring to the IHRA and what IHRA, could bring to Canada. So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to put an article together to put into Inside Track magazine that kind of goes over this more in depth, because I think it's something important that more people maybe aren't aware of, just because, again, when they came into racing, when Bill's part was on it. But there's a lot of stuff today that we, take part in, like, again, the Super Series I mentioned, that really is it's fingerprints and things that Bill brought. The Nitro Nationals, we'll talk about that later in the show results. That is essentially what was the Canadian Nationals at, Toronto Motorsports Park when it was a national event. The Mopar Nationals that happened for years at Grand Bend will take place later this summer. The Rocky Mountain Nationals is taking place in Edmonton next weekend. Those events are all started when Bill looked at these tracks, made agreements with these owners, partnerships, and grew events that have become cornerstone events for these tracks, for spectators, for participants. That part kind of hits home a lot, because there's a lot of great people I met through racing IHRA that are good friends. Michael Beard and I spent, I think, 2.5 hours last night just talking about, Bill and the IHRA. And I never would have met Michael if I hadn't won 2005 ET championship at the Mopar Canadian Nationals at Grand Bend. And Michael got to interview me. And as I stammered through this interview with him in 2005, we formed a friendship that's lasted, years now. Right. And it's a million little stories like that everyone I've talked to seems to have, whether it's directly from talking to Bill, who knew everyone. I can't believe to this day how many people he'd come up to and start talking to like they were long lost friends. And I asked them, says, "Who was that?" And they're like, "That's Bill Bader." I'm like, "How do you know him?" "I don't. I met him last year at the event when we runnered up." He just talked to him like he'd known you for his whole life. That was Bill Bader Senior, and Junior's not much different, right? He's a chip off the old block, and the way they built up Norwalk, it's the gold standard. Racetracks, we use it all the time up here, but IHRA during his years in Canada was a gold standard for Canadian racing. So it's important. I feel like, I think others need to kind of reflect on that. I mean, I'd almost go as far as saying that, the Canadian Drag Racing Hall of Fame, I don't know what the criterion is to make that Hall of Fame, but if it is essentially a contribution to Canadian drag racing, this is a man that needs to be put in there, because his everlasting effect on racing will be felt for years and years up here. And there are many race teams, I think, that owe careers to him through the IHRA years. There are many racers who will go into Hall of Fames who from Canada who owe that to what he saw for visions, on top of the track owners. I don't want to take anything away from what they did. They have a lot invested, but that's an important thing. So I kind of just wanted to touch on that. I felt it was, it was our first show kind of after this. It's a little bit of I wouldn't say it not depressing, but it's a sad thing to kind of start open with. But over the last 2 weeks and all the things I've reflected on and it was, kind of been uplifting to think about what he's had involved. So I felt it was important to kind of mention it, particularly because of, what we do with this show. Right. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was great. It's been really neat for myself to learn about kind of the whole deal that Bill had with IHRA and then everything that has built from that. I was younger at the time and then obviously not aware of kind of all the workings for it, and then never took time to look back or think about it again. But it's really cool. I'm excited to see everything when you get it together.
Yep.
The inside track article, I'm excited for. That's the part, because neat, all the little stories. And like you said, the different people you talk to, stories that you'll never hear again, like you would never find out,
No, and all the American racers that deal brought to Canada, I went through that list and I found it staggering because, we talk a lot. Off the show, we talk about a lot of racers that we race against or we want to race against or that we just, idolize to an extent. Right. And we go to America to race against them. And at one time they were up here, Troy Williams Jr., Anthony Bertozzi, Edmund Richardson, Scotty Richardson, Bruno Massel, the Cummings, like Slate and Britt went to Edmonton. They raced at then Castro Raceway Park, now Rad Torque. I was stunned when I went back and looked at that. Right. Scotty Stillings. Dan Fletcher was just in Buffalo, so one would assume he'd be here. But Matt Hagan, he wheeled a funny car in Edmonton. When we were talking to Rob Reeves last night, right? It was one of those things where I'm going through the results as I was looking at this, because I looked at just about every result at a Canadian event as I was trying to put info together to write this stuff. And I was astonished that, Matt Hagan, multi-time NHRA world champion, raced in Canada, right? Spencer Massey raced at Top Fuel in Edmonton. Jerry Yates has been in Alberta in a pro stock car. Or not Jerry Yates, Jerry Haas. I can't even talk. This is awful. Jerry Haas. Yeah, Jim Yates, so I'm thinking of, which is
there you go.
Jerry Haas, right? He's been in Alberta, right? And you get all these Canadian names like Rob Atchison, Al Billies. These are guys that, I think would have been successful racers outside of the IHRA, but, definitely used the IHRA stage when it came to Canada to become legendary, right? But it's an incredible legacy, right? And I think that's important to be noted.
And I believe Matt raced Pro Mod at Grand Manicouga as well.
Yep.
Because he was running Pro Mod before. So
his roots were left-hand steer, pro modified crazy car action, and he transitioned to fuel funny cars as a family deal, right? And then ends up at Schumacher.
And even some notable Pro Mod guys from Canada, right? Carl Spearing and Scott Wildgus running the IHRA circuit for years. right?
Scotty was an alcohol funny car guy for years,
Yeah.
right along with Paul Noakes, Larry Dobbs, Dylan Hatchie. Dylan races a lot out here, and I actually saw Dylan on the weekend. We were racing at Grand Bend, and I had no idea Dylan had been running IHRA stuff since like 05 and 06, right?
Yeah. Well, and still the Peyton fuel car.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. They were multi-time alcohol funny car champions in IHRA, then went fuel, top fuel racing in the early IHRA days. And, they were just at the Nitro Nationals, and Cameron Frey was just runner-up in their car at Charlotte earlier this year, the 4-wide. Like, there's another team that used the IHRA platform to really grow and learn and become, successful, right?
Absolutely.
So again, it's neat when you look at the history of IHRA and how its effect on Canada would seem is so big, right? So neat, and that was Bill's.
Yes, for sure. So it's
right.
awesome. I'm glad that you brought that up, not only just to my attention, but to everybody else, right? So really neat to learn about people like that and the history that kind of shaped what we have now.
Yep.
Right. So getting on with what we have now, right?
Yeah.
Moving through the Canadian countdown to look at all of it and reflect on it, because we had some huge events in the last 2 weeks at all of these tracks that you just listed, right? We'll start off where I was 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks ago now, I guess. Almost feels like everything's flying, right?
Doesn't it?
To go for days. Where I made my way to Alberta, went out to Edmonton, Rad Torque Raceway, hang out for the Oil City Classic, which Travis Bringeth is his race. I'm sure if you paid attention to this, you knew that we were going out, and you've heard us all talk about it. So we had a lot of fun. It was my on-track success wasn't as much as I would have liked. We had, race car issues, man. Just race cars being race cars. And that's how it goes. So the truck gave me a clogged fuel filter, and then back and forth, and is what it is, rough time. And then I got to drive Dwayne's dragster, Travis's dad's dragster on Sunday.
That was neat to see when I saw the update on that. And I figured at some point you'd get out there and you would get a few, someone would find you a dragster at some point, right? It was inevitable.
And it felt good. It was fun. We did it. And then I just pulled in the lanes wrong. Round one, I ran Scott Hearn, who was a winner Friday night. And then I ran Jason Pad round two. So, and just outdrove, right? I took 13th out of the finish line, and you need to take 12 or less, but that's how it is, right? Yeah. But it was fun. It was a blast. Really cool to go hang out there. We have a special guest tonight talking about the Oil City Classic and his own success at the event. So I guess 3-day race MVP, Craig Johnson. Make sure Craig's
Hey guys,
there.
how's it going?
Excellent, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, great. Good to be on here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Awesome to have you, man. You've earned your spot to come on to the show with a great weekend, as I said. So to give everybody else kind of a highlight to how you were. So Friday, you rolled in Thursday, right? But then nothing happened. Friday, we had the race. You rolled. I got it here. You don't have to tell me. You rolled down to 4. You won the quarterfinals. You rolled that, got to the no box final.
Yes, sir.
Friday.
Yeah.
Carried on Saturday, and then got down to 4 cars in the no box shootout.
Yep.
And then Sunday rolled through again and won the 10K main event.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And this is in a no box, one big class altogether. But you were foot braking the whole weekend, going high 680s, low 690s. So, not really the ideal, unit.
Not the traditional setup per se, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not the traditional setup per se, but we do the best with what we have, you know what I'm saying? Goes back to that old story. Good converter, good carburetor, and good set of tires. Mickey Thompson Pro Bracket radials. I mean, it'll get you in the ballpark, right? And that's basically what we got going on with the station wagon. Runs pretty good. I was actually pretty happy with it at Edmonton. It ran a little bit quicker than what I thought it was. At home at sea level, it runs high 660s, low 670s. So yeah, first hit out of the gate, first time trial there on Friday. I was pretty happy to see a 692 pop up. I think we got the tune up right for elevation.
Yeah, and it's high, right?
Like yeah. The barometer at Mission, my local track, is usually around 30, so it's really good air. But really happy with how the car performed, and I guess I hit the tree not too bad. So
apparently.
Yeah.
So, Craig, this isn't your first win at one of Travis's classic races, right? You won the last year's shootout race in Medicine Hat.
Yes,
but you were also driving a friend's car doing that and foot braking in that as well.
Yes, sir. So, a good friend of mine, Jason Mercer, actually, he has a roadster. We got in contact, and somehow he thought it was a good idea for me to come down and drive something I've never driven before, probably in the biggest race of my life. And, 10K around here is a lot of money to race for, right? So me and my fiance hopped on a plane and went down to Medicine Hat, and I hop in this roadster Wednesday night. And I get in this thing, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? I do not fit in this thing at all. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm like 6'3", 270 pounds. Jason is not. And, but anyways, I don't know. I just said, Jason, I'm going to foot brake this thing. And it worked out, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently it did. So that's awesome. James Rutherford, or the Rutherford family, has a good post to have on here saying you drove like a madman. Loved watching you wheel the finish in that unit.
Well,
I'm sure it's exciting trying to watch everybody.
Yeah, sometimes I drive the finish line more than I have to, but that's what I'm used to. I never really had the best of the best equipment, so I was always forced to drive the finish line. So now the wagon's actually working pretty good, and it's just another club in the bag. I actually could dial honest if I wanted to, so it's good. It's a treat to have that. Let's put it that way.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I really wish my trip to my first classic race was in driving somebody else's car was the same as your trip. That you want to shoot out. Unfortunately, not. But maybe next time.
Well, no, I didn't fare out too well in the main events, but somehow I got my stuff together and managed to ramble it up for the shootout race there. That was pretty cool.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. So Craig, you're not a stranger to turning wind lights on, especially in like the Super Pro class or the box class, running against guys with trans brakes. You're a 6-time track champion at your home track in Mission, and the current points leader in the Super Pro category as well. So,
yes, sir.
Trans brake or no trans brake, it doesn't matter, bud. You're taking them down, right?
Yeah, the wagon doesn't even have a trans brake in it. It doesn't have a 2-step. It just has an old 7AL2 box in it, and we try to make it work. We have got the little tires up front, of course, because I tend to have a lazy spot on the bottom ball, but it works out well for me. And can't say enough about that old station wagon. Might not look like much, but she works pretty good.
It looks good in the winter circle. It looks great in the winter circle, right?
Yeah. It looks really good there. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's awesome. And the lazy spot on the tree, as long as the same lazy one,
Yeah,
then who cares?
That's what I like to. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah. I like it. So Craig, thank you very much for coming on. We're glad to have you to talk a little bit about your success. Awesome
Yes,
weekend. Like I said, for the to get the MVP award. And Andrew, I don't think you saw that helmet they had, but Travis had a custom helmet done up, painted up, Oil City Classic logo on the back of it.
I did see that.
Yep.
Do you know who painted that? Because that is beautiful.
I do not.
Okay.
We can find that out.
We got to find that out because that is one nice helmet. Mind you, it doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit my big noggin. I need like a triple XL, and we got a large, so it's more of a trophy anyway.
That's all right, but
no,
it's cool. I was lining that up when we rolled in, and then when they were setting it all up, and I'm like, oh man, I need that.
Yeah,
I just needed to sit right beside me. But that's awesome. So
I was pretty humbled to get that actually because there was a lot of people who laid down stellar performances, and for them to pick me for that, it truly humbling and very blessed and thankful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we did have an update here in the live comments. We got all the Western Canada guys. They're going nuts on it, right? LJ Auto Body are all in for that.
LJ Auto Body. Okay. Yeah.
So
they
so
do. They do fantastic work. Yeah.
They do. Indeed they do.
Yeah.
But absolutely, bud. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. We're gonna keep paying attention. Want to see you take it down in Mission this year, right? Dominate all of them.
I'll try.
Absolutely. We'll be watching. Like I said, I appreciate your time coming on here. I wanted to make sure we talked about this win, right? That's the point of the broadcast. Highlight Canadian drag racers and the stories here, right? Who's going to think that, rolling through with the 690 foot brake wagon, we're going to be turning on win lights in some of the biggest events that we have in the country. So, want to make sure we got that out there. I love the shirt. Glad that you got it.
I love it. I love it too, man. I love it.
Yeah. Got to pick that up when we brought it out from Rachel at the merchandise store area tent.
Yep.
So thank you very much, bud. I appreciate it. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank for the help, family, friends, whatever it is?
Yeah, absolutely. My whole family, my dad, number one, that's his car, giving me a great car to work with. Not used to working with good equipment. Obviously my fiance for putting up with this whole you guys nailed it on the head. Actually, it is a lifestyle. It's the bracket lifestyle. You guys nailed that one. And she puts up with that. She loves it. She does all my weather and logbook and blah, blah, blah. Can't do it without her. And just all my racing friends that helped me out along the way. Obviously Jason and Heather Cornell and Mike Brady for towing my car there actually. And that's basically it, man.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome, bud. If all goes well, we'll cross paths again in the future at a racetrack sometime. I feel like I need redemption out west. So I'm going to do the best I can to make it back out and see everybody out again.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you very much for coming on and taking the time, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one, Craig.
Yeah, you too.
So that's pretty cool.
That was. When we were finding out about that wagon and you were telling me it's a foot brake wagon and he was killing everything on the box side. I was floored. And not that should surprise me. I mean, we watched like stuff like the World Foot Brake Championship all the time and watch, killer runs, but real neat when you see stories like that and watch guys like Craig just knocking stuff down, right? Doing it with, as we pointed out here on before, not the cutting edge stuff, as he said, but great equipment, drove well with, a lot of clubs in the bag. That's all you need sometimes.
Yeah. And then when I was out there, we were talking about the money in Alberta and like the equipment and stuff like that, because there's a lot of nice stuff. Like we went, I was fortunate enough to go Wednesday night when we had arrived after dinner. We went to the track. Mom, Rachel, and myself, and Chevy Reeves took me out in his Rad Torque Porsche on the road track, and we were zipping around there. And the people that are rolling in Wednesday night in these massive trucks and trailers, like gorgeous looking units, right? And then the guy that I think it's just awesome that the MVP of the weekend is the guy running, the foot brake wagon that looks like I don't know what year it is, but it looks like it's from that year, So, but it's awesome, and that's it. That's what we're here for.
That's what makes the sport great, right? It doesn't take cubic dollars to turn, right, to make stuff happen, right? And flat out, you can be bad off the bottom bulb and compete with anyone, right?
Yeah.
And that's a cool deal. That's I'm looking forward to the next race to see, Travis's next run, which is Mission, I think.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to pull the calendar up that you put together there for the Bracket Life to confirm that, but. I've been watching the stories. We were at home that weekend, thrashing on all the broken stuff I had from the National Open, and following online. We had the YouTube feed up and getting the Facebook updates from the TNT page. And, I'm in on the next one because there's a lot of great stories, and Craig being one of them, to see how all this follows out as we go along. So it'd be cool.
I do need to point this out. The TNT page, excellent job. Obviously it is Travis, but when I went through looking for the results, boom, it's there, laid out, everything, every day individually. So it was easy
if
to
there's
find.
Ever a plea out there to the world, if you're an operator, if you're a series, find results, put them everywhere, post pictures of said results. There is nothing more satisfying than to roll through a Facebook feed on a Monday and see your name or see a picture from a win circle, or flat out just go see how your buddy did and find out, hey, look, there's that, instead of having to search Google for hours just to find a shred of results. So word of advice, please post this stuff. We love it as racers, and it's so satisfying to find it as a fan.
Yes, absolutely. And then, everybody cheer for, and you see those common names come up for it. So continue on through the Oil City race. There were 2 junior dragster races. Chloe Mills and Morgan Karen took those down. They have a Nitro, can't remember what it's called, Nitro Juniors or something like that.
Nitro Rats.
Nitro Rats. Good call. So we talked about it last night.
Yep.
Went blank. I remember the Nitro. So they have a clubhouse there that's set up, and they got a bunch of stuff for kids and whatnot, and then the big blow up unit that they take their winter throw hitters in front of.
Yeah.
It's an awesome setup out there for all the junior kids to run in a really cool program. So
that was impressive listening to Rob and Chevy talk about that last night in that program, because I'd heard about, Travis had mentioned the Nitro Rats club and everything else, and it was okay, this is neat. And then when they were talking about it last night, it's no, this is legitimate place. This is a building. This is all this cool stuff. I was impressed at how far, what they've done with all this to create this junior program. And I mean, what Rob was telling us about, the 60 plus juniors, I think at one time they had this whole association. Travis has talked about it. I was this is an all-in, path to growing this sport, right? So really cool. Yeah,
for sure. And then the mentorship program that they have that goes along with that we've talked about on here before.
Absolutely.
So that was neat. Neat to see it in person, and then meet the organizers. I was just walking by, stopped by, said hello, and then talked to them kind of about the whole idea and what they have going on. Yeah. So it's awesome. It's really neat. Friday we did get to race. It was wet. I know when we did show up in Edmonton. Wednesday we did have we were questioning kind of how warm the summer is. And then Thursday we were there. Mom and Rachel, actually, they had to go buy coats and more clothing. It was cold, And then Saturday, Sunday was much better. Windy, though, very windy.
Watching the vlog, it looked like it was a little bit breezy out there.
Yeah, so we did get to race Friday. Got to finish it later at night. I was rolling pretty, felt good in the truck, having a lot of fun. That was when we first started having fuel issues. It died on me both entries in round 2, and I was 008 in both of them. So I'm not saying I would have went down there and won, but I was in the right spot to go down there and have success. But as I spoke earlier, so Scott Hearn took the win over Garnet Rose, and Garnet Rose had turned 80 the week before.
That was something we were talking about last night. I was blown away by this, right? Like he's been out there wheeling stuff for the term I think was used forever, tongue in cheek, but at 80 years old, still turning on win lights and in final rounds at big races. That's unreal.
And it was late. Like it was, I want to say the final was 11:30 Friday night then. So, it's, you need a lot of stamina to get through the day because you're not waking up at whatever time, like not expecting a race, right? We had full intention we were going to be good. And then the rain was through it. So, that's a long day for an 80-year-old man to go out and still be killing it.
Yeah.
So, we got killing it since the 60s is what I've got here. Saturday roll around. Lorenz Schwarz. If I messed that up, I do apologize. It's tough.
I'm glad you got hit first crack at his name because his name shows up later here, and I think I had it too, and that's what I was going to go with as well. But yeah.
Over Chevy Reeves. Chevy, Andrew and I were talking to last night. So our great final. That is a no box car, I believe. Yes, taking the win over a dragster. So if you haven't figured it out yet, the no box guys were pretty on it this weekend or last weekend, I guess. Saturday night we had 2 shootouts. We had the no box shoot and the box one. No box shootout. Monty Beagle over our friend Lorenz Schwarz.
Yeah.
So Monty, I've seen Monty race. We've watched him at the Spring Fling Million. He's got an old coupe looking thing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't look like you can see anything out of it.
One of those.
Does not, like you cannot see very much, but he's doing well in that thing. Yeah. So he rolled through that pretty well. Then we did the 30K shootout. Mike Kozier over Ray Gates. I believe we're just guessing at this. You would think that all the French names would be harder than the Alberta names, but
I'll take all the French names in the world over some of the names. This is why I've never wanted to get into announcing at any racetracks ever. I have no problem talking. That's evident in life, but put me in front of some names I don't know. I'm good. Red door car on the left, black dragster on the right. Sorry.
That's what you got. Now, the door car in that final for the 30K was a 460 door car.
That's flying too, eh? Like we just talked about that with Craig, altitude track. 460 door car is like what 390 if you hit at the coast finally.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's getting it right. I said this. I was texting some friends back home, some time slips and then opponents I was racing, and then it seemed like every time slip I had said was against a 4-second door car. Yeah. I had ran so many of them, and then I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would almost bet that 50% of the door car side is 520 or faster.
That's crazy.
Like it is wild. Now, a lot of that is, I believe, attributed to the Top E series they have out there, where the bump for that is 890. So you're getting it, right?
Yeah. Just naturally, that's going to cultivate a lot of fast stuff, right? So absolutely.
It makes it worth it. But that was cool. That was a fast race, right? I feel like door cars get cheered for a lot more than dragsters. I don't know, it just kind of happens. But I was cheering for the 460 door car, to be honest with you. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely. Right. If it's not a roadster, it's a door car as a fan favorite, right? Or does that just be me? But
might be your I get it. And then Sunday, obviously Craig Johnson over Brody Allison to finish out the weekend. That was the only final I was present for because the rest were all later. We went back to the hotel. Wanted to, I was trying not to suck the next day. Didn't really make a difference. I'm not sure, but that was the effort, right? Yeah. When we had left. And about being late there, you don't really notice it because it doesn't get dark until midnight.
Yep.
Or it didn't when I was there. So
that would have been trippy. I know I've heard stories in the IHRA days when they first did the first national event at the Rocky Mountain, that the night under fire, right? Was a bit of a a bit of a difficult time when at 10:30 it ain't dark and they got a fireworks show with jets and everything else. So a bit trippy if you've never been out there, I imagine, and experienced that.
Yeah. You really didn't realize it was 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You didn't, because you still think, it's like 5 or 6. No, it's 10.
It's late.
Oh, why is it so bright? I don't know, man. It never it just didn't get dark. But that was pretty much it for the Oil City race.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun. I had a blast being out there. People we got to meet, Rachel and I. Rachel and my mom were doing the merchandise tent with Travis's mom, Pam. So that was cool. They got to, sell a lot of stuff, move a lot of Bracket Life merchandise out there. So excellent opportunity for us.
That was a good
putting
weekend.
Name to a face and everything like that, not just meeting these people online. Same as just Travis in general. I've spoke to Travis, I don't know how many times, but then I went out there and met him face to face for the first time. So exciting for me. Glad that I got to do it. Can't wait to go back out. Like I said earlier, I went out there with, I feel like, a little bit of a chip on my shoulder that I had something to prove. To who, I'm not sure, but either way. And I came back home with it like 100 times heavier.
Yeah.
Right. And I need to go back out there and have success. So, but it was awesome. So thank you to Travis, Dwayne, Ringeth, both of you for letting me drive your equipment, having me out there, and Travis putting on a great event, and the whole TNT team, right? Everybody that was involved. It was really well run. Something I took away from that was waiting for the double entries in it. So they would do, the whole round and then give it 10 minutes for doubles to come back. So nobody was in necessarily a huge rush to get up there. And we still finished with lots of time to get the event in, but then it wasn't in a hurry. And when I had asked about this rule, just to say, why are you doing this? I want to understand what the thinking is. And then I was told that guy that double entered both 10s, because it's $500 for both. So now he's $1,000 in to be doubled for the weekend. We can give him 10 minutes to cool down his stuff and come back and have a fair shake at it. So, neat way they did it. Learned a lot. But yeah. So thank you guys, and thanks to everybody that I did get to meet and say hello to that have supported Bracket Life throughout all that. So we can slide from there over to some of your racing, Andrew.
Well, yeah, we'll go to Grand Bend. That's where I was this past weekend. We actually had a 4-day race weekend up there that kind of got moved to about 3. So we had the Canada Day long weekend, Thunder Series at Grand Bend Motorplex, Ontario Nostalgia Drag Racers joining us. We were kicking the weekend off with a Thursday high roller that started on Friday, that finished on Saturday. Benny Smith, Ed Smith's son, local racers, great racers, big supporters of drag racing. They've been a big supporter of the Thunder Series, sponsoring classes like Rock's Edge, Extreme 32. Takes the win over Brad Talbot. There's a Talbot story here. I'll get into that as I paint some pictures, because I had to write this one down to make sure I understood it completely, because there was a lot of car jumping, a lot of classes, a lot of quadruple entered. Friday's race, we had box, no box, of separate classes. Will Steckley, we've talked about him a few times, 2-time world champion, been running up all over the place. Got the deal closed in Brian Brutsky's Camaro on Friday for the box win. Rob Alexander taking out no box. Rob was a great one. He showed up Thursday night asking what was going on Friday. And I says, well, there's a no box race. Our company, DSE Automotive, was sponsoring it. And, okay. So Rob jumps in, full enthusiasm. We've had him on our bracket finals team for the Ontario finals a couple of times. Great family, big supporters of GBM, see them all the time. Rob jumps in and just mows down the no box field. And we ran 8th mile on Friday. lays down in the final, I think like a 10 dead on 6 pass off the bottom and just, laying it out there. And I'm pretty sure he says like, yeah, we gave it 1 at the stripe. So it was like 10, probably dead 1 or something, right? Great run. Great to see him win. It was a fun win to watch. Junior shootout was Alexis Hines taking the W there. Moving to Saturday. Now here's where it gets complicated slightly. So we've got the high roller from Thursday that got moved to Friday that we couldn't finish due to rain. So now we've got a full Thunder Series slate, ONDR, which was 3 classes. And then we've got a shootout. Brad Talbot, Jay Talbot, who's Brad's dad, Kevin Talbot, who is Jay's brother, Brad's uncle, all wheeling cars. The problem they have now is they have 5 or 6 different entries amongst classes on one day. So Brad jumps into his uncle's Malibu bottom bulb wagon to run top ET. He's still in his dad's Camaro in the high roller race. And Jay is also in the Camaro, but on the other side of the ladder in no box because we were running it as a combo. Jay wheels the Camaro to the final in mod against me. Unfortunately, coming up 7 red. Great for me since my car is not doing very good. So I got the mod win on Saturday. Brad wheels the Malibu that he's never been in, never made 1 run in until Saturday morning, to the final of top ET, going off the bottom with a 3-speed, never wheeled 3-speed, manual shifted, I believe, on top of it. Beats Will Steckley in Brian Brutsky's Camaro in the final. They're both like 22 and 23. Will's, I think, dead 6, and Brad is like dead 5 in the final round. Crazy run. Will was also, and I lost my spot there. I think Will was another final on the Saturday. But anyway, we'll go from the top. So Brad makes top. Street ET, Garrett Culleton in his street car. He is the Street ET champ right now. The guy's running around winning everything in this Yukon. Bike and sled, John Minnie. Junior Advanced, Jordan Crow picking up the win. Junior Development, Paige Roy. Outlawed 330 Juniors, Levi Dill taking up the win. Extreme 32, Sarah Zonta over Luke Schwimler. That was a great final too. Sarah killed the tree all day long. I think I need to see the slips, but I do believe them when they say I don't think she was worse than like 9 on the tree through the whole day. Just an unreal day. Luke put up a great run in the final, but what do you do when you run into someone who's putting up packages like that, right? Levi Dill again, Junior Consi, doubled up. And Dan Morgan in Open Comp. ONDR Hot Rod had Calvin Kiters. Probably botched that one. ONDR Comp, Paul Henderson. And ONDR Gas, James Kovac. Sunday, few less classes, a little less stress. Somewhere through Saturday, I think I had 5 entries between the high rollers and the normal classes in the Thunder Series. There was at the point where I had to write down what I was still in, and I don't think I was the only one trying to figure it out. We were using fingers and toes to calculate where we're at. I think I put up 10 straight wins to finally take every entry to round 3. I thought I'd won the weekend, and literally it only started.
Just getting wound up.
Oh, yeah. It was just like 5 o'clock Saturday. And I'm like, is it over yet? Because I feel like I've put 10 wins on the board. It's got to be done. And we weren't. But it was a great day. Late finish, But when you had that much stuff going on, I think there was 14 classes that we were trying to run through stuff that got pushed over, just what was there. So long day, a lot of fun. So wake up Sunday, do it all over again. Mod ET, Jay Talbot annihilates me at 6 cars. He's 001, 2 over on the brakes to put me on the trailer, goes on to win modified. Top ET, I managed to wheel the Mustang down to the final, race Benny Smith. So I was his 3rd final of the weekend because later on he goes on to win Extreme 32. Benny was just killing it in his car. It was a great weekend for him. Tim Wickenheiser and Street ET with a great win. Cody Howe and Bike Sled, one of our teammates from the bracket finals. Big win for him. I think it was his birthday on the weekend too. So nothing like parking in the winner's circle on your birthday. Jack Snell picked up the win in Junior Advanced. Ryan Alford in Junior Development. Kira Trilo is her first win in Junior, winning Outlaw 330. And then Austin Vermeulen winning Junior Consolation. It was a big win for them. They had a fun weekend. Glad to see them pick up the win in that one. Open comp, Tim Ferguson. ONDR comp, Paul Forrest. I think Paul's car is a stick-shifted 68 Camaro. Not a Linko. It's a clutch car. He runs top ET with it too. Like he'll come and double in ONDR comp, wheel the car into top, not mod, not anything else. And I've watched him go rounds up, and there's nothing cooler on a Saturday night than listening to a stick shift car take this leave on like a 730 dragster and then see the wind light in the door car lane. A lot of fun. ONDR gas was James Kovac again, picking up the double on it. I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Bob Heens. Bob got down to the finals in the box combo on the Thursday/Friday/Saturday. Shout out because the Never Quit Award on Friday before the rain hit, Bob cut a slick. We tried to patch it. We couldn't get anything to stick. The rain hit. The class is left open. We run home. He goes 5-hour road trip to my place to grab tube. We put a tube in the tire. He puts it back in the car, gets it ready to run round one. That didn't finish on Friday, and then takes the car down to the final. So if there's a Never Quit Award, it was Bob, because we were all just about dead by Saturday morning trying to get everything fixed up between my broken cars, his cut slick, and trying to go rounds. So that was a fun weekend, but it was a great job. Great job in Grand Bend. Track was killer. Great race team showed up. It was a lot of fun. You were in Luskville this weekend for a Super Tour race. So you should fill us in on that one, because I was trying to follow along as I was quadruple entered in everything.
Yes, sir. We were made it back to Luskville after the trip out west. It was a quick week, right? We landed Monday mid-afternoon, got back Monday night, had 2.5 days at home, left Thursday night to head to Luskville, get back into it. So Daniel, my younger brother, he came with us, as well as my mom. So the four of us headed out. Nice to have Daniel back. He came the Sunday before, but first full weekend of having him back, and then he got to race his own dragster too. So that was nice. It didn't work out really for either one of us. We were good, but just got beat around. Did 3 races. Friday, Super Pro winner, Landon Urslack, my neighbor, where he parks at the racetrack. So good for young Lando, another junior kid coming out and then lighting it up, right? He's had a lot of success since coming out of juniors. Very aggressive racer. I love it. Like you'll know when you come out, whenever Lando's backing up, because he's got that in reverse, lets off the button, and he smacks that thing, like, smacks the throttle on that thing a couple times, clearing it out, right? He just likes the way it feels. That's getting him wound up for it. And then semi-pro winner was Stephen Valentine. Same thing, junior kid coming up, racing. Stephen, a lot of success, always like a hitter in the semi-pro class at all the Super Tour events. So that's how we started off with the Gamblers race. Saturday rolled up. Super Pro I had lost to the eventual winner, Phil Harvey.
It feels a little bit better sometimes, right? Watching the guy that beats it go on. No,
not really.
Okay.
Not really. No. Sometimes it does. Absolutely. It was lights out for Saturday and Sunday. But I think there was a stretch of 4 or 5 rounds where his worst light was 4.
Wow.
Like he was 1, 2, 1, 4. I'm not sure after that, before he got to the final. I know my lap, I was 15 dead 9, feeling good. He's 2 dead on 1. So I was way behind. That was
that's
I think 22, like, 21
I'll take that lap any day, right? Put it up there. Yeah. It's a good feel-good lap and just more than in the way, right?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Absolutely. But, at least you were there, right? Yeah. When he rolls through 3 total, like, did he really know you were there? I don't know. But, he made it look all right. Semi-pro, another first-time winner, Tina Clermont, takes her win in her second year racing. And she's sharing a car. They have 2 cars, I believe, through their 3 of them, the race. So they're sharing back and forth. But she had an awesome day. So, congratulations to Tina. Had a good talk with her later on in the night at the Angers party, Saturday night. Junior was the points leader, Xavier Magny, taking it down again. So they're having a lot of success so far, and then extending, I believe, the points lead through that win. Rolled over after the Angers party. We all hung out, had bacon. It's a great time.
So Andrew, I picked up on the bacon thing. I seen it on the next flyer, which is the Bracket Bonanza one, which is the event that we're coming out to. I'm excited for. What's the deal with the bacon?
You'll see what the deal is with the bacon.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's excellent. They have the party. Normally it's on Saturday nights. I believe for the bracket it's on Friday night because they did the steak dinner Saturday. But they set up Kevin Petraeus, whatever you want. I don't know what his last name really is. That's the French name that's hard to say. He brings a bunch of bacon. They got the charcoal grills set up, and then they just go at her. I believe they go through 30, 40 pounds of it, hammering it, and then just go up, grab some. There's drinks and stuff like that all set up around in coolers. So if that isn't kind of a kicker to draw you into these events, then it should be, because you haven't had the bacon yet. But
I've never seen bacon on a flyer as a drawing point, and it by far is the most intriguing part of the flyer. And it's a great flyer. There's a lot of money up for grabs. I'm looking forward to the race.
Yeah.
But the second I saw bacon on the flyer, I wasn't sure what to think other than I need to figure this out. This looks amazing, because who advertises bacon? But
that's right. It's just a random thing. Oh, well, they're selling bacon there. No, they're not selling bacon. They're giving you bacon. Right? You show up at the party, grab yourself a couple slices. It's excellent. I love it. And I usually overindulge in the bacon situation is normally how it goes. Or if they make
talk about bacon and bracket racing, I think
they make hot dogs as well sometimes on there. Some of the best hot dogs I've ever ate in my life. Yeah. Maybe that's from drinking all the Kool-Aid that they got going on, the vodka Kool-Aid drinks that they have. That might be why the hot dogs taste so good, but either way,
it doesn't matter. This is the fun part sometimes about these big events, right? Like the folks have used to have the open drink wagon in the staging lanes at the Million. I don't know if that's still a thing, right? The Angers have bacon and everything else. Like some of these big money races, and we talked about this before, in here, that it's an experience, right, to go. And it's these things. It's not the on-track stuff that's sometimes the biggest draw, although that's usually why we're going. It's like the bacon party, the open cooler cart, right? These are all things that make these events special, right?
Yes, it's all fun, right? It's a blast. So we woke up Sunday morning, went through the whole race. Same thing. I was good. Actually, I ran Phil Harvey again. He was 1 this time. Saturday, he was 2 on the tree. So tightened up a little bit to be 1 against me. I had rolled 3 out to come up 2 red. So I potentially could have been 1-1. Would have been a tough race. Would have been going under. He was going 1 above. Had a little bit of room, but tough. He had gone on, ended up losing to the eventual winner, Derek Malcolm. Phil did. So Derek wins, got back in the winner's circle. Found some eye drops. He's having a hard time seeing. Went to the eye doctor, got some eye drops, got some new glasses, and first weekend out puts in the winner's circle. So
sometimes the race cars aren't the only ones that need a little bit of TLC. Is how that's working out. Right? Yeah,
that's right. Semi-Pro had their first electric car win. The Super Tour did in Semi-Pro. Lawrence Williams takes his Tesla to the winner's circle through that. So that can be a whole nother conversation in itself. But good for Lawrence. Lawrence been coming a long time. He started out testing tune stuff, and then started stopping by different trailers, talking to different people, learning what we do. Started showing up for races, and now he's an event winner. Now he's got a big check. He was struggling to find room in the back of the Tesla to put the big check, but he made it happen.
I'm sure there was a few people that were willing to carry it for him at least for a week or two, right?
Yeah, that's right. So good for him. Junior Leah Monahan. We've talked about Leon here many times for victories and having success. So good for her getting back to the winner's circle again at the tour. So we'll whip through now. The Nitro Nationals were going on at TMP.
Yeah. So another one of those IHRA era events that's still kind of that's happening. So Nitro Nationals. So that was a big weekend at Cuba. They bring in like the Peyton Top Fuel Dragsters. They had the Anthill Mob, Gary Kraus, Match Racing, Tom Motry's Nitro Funny Car, which most people know it as the drastic plastic fuel altered, but the modern age of match racing, altered body, fuel car body, whichever you want, I'll put it on the car and I'll go 520s at 270. Really cool stuff. I love watching those ones. They had A Fuel cars, Brian Peterson, Jeff Chatterson, Rob Brown is Nitro Harley, Tyler Scott and the Cardiac Kids. I love that name. I know it's a side point. I didn't know if I was going to bring it up. Like Cardiac Kids drag racing team, right? Like just iconic. Nostalgic Asters, Altereds, front engine dragsters, Neil Armstrong's Northern Warrior jet dragster, and then Russ Lethbridge's Hellfire jet Freightliner. Crazy truck. Fun to watch. If you've ever seen that one at night, that's a show. So sportsman-wise, Saturday, kind of a funny deal here. So Bob Richards, local guy, real good racer, puts a car back together here. He's been out of it for a couple of years, takes a win over Blake Sutton. Then they roll it back. Blake jumps into a Sunfire and takes the win over Bob in the same car and modified. Todd Hope over Gary DeLue in bike sled. Frank Hood over Michaela Marvin in street. Maya James over Madison DeJong and Junior. One of the neat ones with Maya, she wheels her dad's Mustang Coupe, like a Mod ET car, and the Junior sometimes. So she's driving the big car and the Junior on occasional weekends. Always found that cool. Wished I'd been able to do that when I was younger, but apparently when you outgrow the Junior at 16, not an option anymore. Can-Am Stock, Super Stock, Chuck Nagy over Ron Gallagher for Saturday. Sunday, Blake Sutton takes the Super Comp Dragster, wheels it over for the win over Mike Suckervanni. Ken Dennis, I think it's the second win for the year for Ken in mod over Dustin Taylor. Dustin has runnered up a lot this year. He is close to sealing the deal. He will get there, but I'd take a bunch of runner-ups over first-round losses if I was anyone. He's going to get there. Dan Earl over Cecilia White in bike sled. Frank Hood doubles up, takes the street title on Saturday, takes it on Sunday over Todd Anderson. Junior Dragster had Georgia Pettit over Brody Brown. Junior Conti, Kate Gingrich over Liam Goudreau. And they ran a top sportsman, top dragster race. It was a combo class there. It ran at 8th mile. I think they had 19 cars. Steve Corvo in the door car. Yay, door car guys. Over Kenny Grossi in the dragster. Kenny's just put this dragster together, so it was great to see him going rounds there and put it into a final round. So that was a big race for those guys, and with a lot of stuff coming together for them to win it. A lot of deep talent there, some fast stuff at the event. So great to see it. Grandstands were full. Saw some pictures from the event. I mean, it was crazy looking. It looked just like the old days. Stands full. Fences were lined, deep. I heard campers were sold out, right? Lining the quarter mile. So great to see that. I hope Grand Bend has the same experience. I hope next weekend in Edmonton, it's the same way. Coming out of COVID, everyone wants to get to a racetrack. Big deal. I'm excited for them. You've got some East Coast stuff. Again, a lot of racing going on. We're almost through the list of things we've got, but you've got some results from out east.
That's right. We're down in the Maritimes now. So what I've been told is that they've been plagued with rainy days. So they have not been able to race very much yet. 2 weeks ago now, Cape Breton Dragway able to have, which is the newest NHRA D1 sanctioned track as well, I believe in Canada, the newest one. So they were finally able to get something done. Did a one-day race. Box class, Benny Neaston over Jason McNeil. No box, Noah Mugga. That's a good one. That's a good name. Noah Mugga. I think that's it. I'm not sure if that's actually how you say the name, but Muggah. Sounds like that. But
we over David segment on here where we bring our broadcast, like our announcer friends on, and be like, "How do you pronounce this?
How do you do this?" Yeah.
It's the Save Andrew and Brandon segment.
Yeah, that's right. Then Junior Dragster Bryson McNeil over Sarah Burns, and then later on, a week later, this past weekend, Greenfield Dragway was the first race of the Atlantic Pro Tree Series. Super Street 690 winner Benny Neaston once again,
Nice.
over Connor Neaston in the finals. I'm not totally sure if there's a connection there.
Sounds like a family affair.
Sounds like there could be, right? Super Comp 570, winner Mark Green, runner-up Brett Ramsey. Semifinalists were Jason McNeil and John Rankin. For those, Super Gas 630, winner Benny Neaston once again.
Nice.
That's
Double
three.
up.
3 wins.
Triple,
to
yes.
Benny Neaston for. Runner-up Darren Poole. Then we also had the Atlantic Drag Racing Association on at Greenfield. Super Pro winner Roddy Simpson over Paul Weir. Pro Glenn Frizzle over Dan Nickerson. Bike sled Brian Head over Chris Gessner. Sportsman William Brownell over Dylan Petipis. We do need the announcers on here. We got to lay this out. The junior race, which included prizes from Bracket Life, we sent down some prizes for the junior racers, T-shirts, stuff like that. Gavin Posabon over Colton Howes, and race 2, Gavin with the double up over Jacob Massey this time.
Nice.
So a lot of repeat winners. Apparently, we're gonna say, if this is any indication, we're gonna say Benny Neaston a lot.
It's been seen, like 2022 is one of those years where the double up, the repeat winner has been common. The fixing a race car every week has been common. There's some commonalities to 2022 here, but you're right.
Absolutely. So we'll go over quick the Doorwarz race in Mission, which turns out to be a pretty big event.
I don't want to say last but least, because this was actually a big race, and for a lot of different reasons. I mean, Doorwarz is a big race on the West Coast. It's one of those ones that, like, I've heard about out east, so I mean that says something about what's going on. So it was their 10th edition of the Doorwarz at Mission Raceway. They had a pretty incredible high caliber field with some special guests. So they had PDRA regular Alberta native Dean Bettison there running, NHRA Fuel Tech Pro Mod team, Bahrain 1, Jason Bond and Khalid Al-Balushi. So Justin, this is his home track, if I understand that correct. And Khalid has never raced. I don't know if he's ever raced in Canada. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Definitively not in Mission. And then as a bonus, so Stevie Fast Jackson is the other teammate of in the Bahrain 1. Whatever race he was at in Atlanta, rains out. He jumps in his own personal plane, makes 3 fuel stops, and flies to Alberta or BC just to jump out and hang out with his Bahrain 1 teammates. So I'm watching all this on YouTube or Facebook in between the 17 classes that we were running at Grand Bend, 5 of which I'm in, and I see that Stevie Jackson's in BC. So it was kind of a really cool deal. They had some weather too. Another, I guess, common denominator of 2022 is rain. So they moved everything up. They had a Friday race that was a rain out that they finished on Friday, and then they moved the main event up to Saturday. The final of the West Coast Pro Mod was Khalid Al-Balushi running up against Dean Bettison. And this is a crazy final. I know when you saw the results, you looked at it twice. I looked at it 4 or 5 times. So Dean goes 53 on the tree to Khalid's, or 51 on the tree to Khalid's 53. Dean goes 376.5 to to win on a hole shot over Khalid's 376.4. So quick math is a 1/1000 stripe. Whole shot victory, taking 2 on the tree, and unbelievable final round. Great amount of cars there, like quality field. Great to see that for them out there. They had a bunch of other heads up classes. I'll roll through this. So Outlaw 275, there was a final from a previous race. Jordy Lazic taking the win over Jordan. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Took the home win on Friday. Jordan Brandon outran Kurt Johnson on Saturday for the main event 275 win. Canada West Door Slammer class. I'm going to slow down and read this properly. Got 2 champions there. So I believe it's a top sportsman class. I had to go back and try to find, what that was. They had like 31 cars registered, 26, I think, made qualifying attempts. Derek Shirk taking the win Friday over Peter Lachinas, which was, again, the rainout final. So Peter wheels the car back around Saturday, rolls it into another final round, and then takes the win this time over Paul Stretch. So big weekend, back to the double. Guys on rolls, girls on rolls, just continuing to keep it going. Kelowna, BC? I probably got that wrong, didn't I? Vanessa Richards, running limited street. She qualified number 1 and just ran the gauntlet. Took home the win Friday and Saturday. Nothing like throwing it onto the pole and then just dominating the weekend. Moving into the bracket classes, they ran an electronics class, so Super Pro. Al Quigley, who I believe has Rad Torque affiliation. I don't know what that is, but I just seen that he's wearing Rad Torque gear. So shout out to all our Rad Torque West Coast guys. He ran the gauntlet over Dan Parsons. Non-electronics, Veronica Hodgson outlasted Oil City Classic winner Lorenz Schwartz. So we're rolling with, I think, right?
Yeah.
604 street. I pulled this one aside because this is kind of neat. I didn't know what that meant, 604 street legit class. So I looked this up. This looks like a drag and drive class. You got to go 45 kilometers before you race, running on pump gas or E85 only. No 112, no methanol. Wheel it back to the track. Then it's an open comp style race. So you have to qualify with an ET. And then from there, you have to dial. You pick your dial in. It has to be within 2/10 of your qualifying time. And that's it for the race. Pro tree, staggered start, bikes, cars, street rods. It don't matter. And from there, you bracket race. And Don Murray, who, from what I take, is quite the contender in this category, takes the win over Rob Monroe Sr. In it. Kind of a neat format. Haven't seen this type of thing. I've watched drag and drive stuff now. I've kind of enthralled with the technology in this. I haven't seen drag and drive stuff combined with bracket racing. This is kind of neat. So it's interesting to see that. Last class, juniors. Cordy Plews taking the win in junior street. I believe that's the junior level racer running street cars with parent drivers. If I'm wrong, someone will correct me. Our audience always does. Lexi Winterbaum taking the win in junior shootout. So for all intents and purposes, a great event. Some high caliber stars out there. It was great to see, I want to say an American team, but like Bahrain won international. Classy move by Mission. They were flying the Bahrain flag in between the U.S. flag and the Canadian flag while they were there. Really cool to see that American teams, like American-based teams, coming to Canada, running up here, and to see that international flavor. Stevie Fast Jackson. I mean, the guy wasn't there racing, but he wasn't going to miss a good time, right? Flies all the way out to BC just to hang out, sign autographs. The man gets it. He understands our sport. If there's ever someone to cheer for, the man just made a new fan on my end because that was a cool deal, I thought. So congrats to all the winners of that race.
It's cool, right? Cool learning about it and seeing the high profile names out there where you off the cuff, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, Mission BC, right? That's where they're going to be going 3.7, right?
And they were just on the East Coast, like the Pro Mod deal, the Fuel Tech NHRA Pro Mods they were at Norwalk just a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's a drive. That's a dedicated drive to package a bunch of cars up and head from Ohio to BC, right? Yeah. And go race and race competitively, not just bring other stuff, right? So I was excited for the folks in BC to see that. That was a cool deal. Yeah, made me a little jealous, gonna be honest.
Absolutely. So finishing off, I don't like the whole show's been a Canadian countdown, but there's been a lot going on. Finish off, we're at the time of the top eliminator race at Rad Torque Raceway in Edmonton. Yep. So to keep track of it, keep tally on it, 2 weeks, 2 weekends in a row. Rad Torque Raceway, between both events, have paid over $200,000 out at bracket races.
Yeah.
Between Travis's Oil City Classic, the top eliminator race, which was $100,000 total that they paid out, $40,000 to win Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. That is massive in Canada. Yeah. So for everybody paying attention to it, right, that is huge. Yeah. So Canadian drag racing, I think that's an indication of it, that it's headed up.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it looks for this. So that's a really cool thing to think about. I didn't really grasp it, I guess, until last night when we were talking. You know, we talked to Chevy and Rob from Rad Torque Raceway and just the events that are being put on at their facility.
Yes.
Really cool. They had a rough, so they did Friday, they had a golf tournament, and then Saturday caught rain, didn't get to do a race, ran both races on Sunday. Mark Simmons had a great Sunday. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So first race comes around, you know, runner-up finish, turns it red in the final to Daryl Baker. So congratulations, Daryl, picking out that 40K win. And then they said Mark with the runner-up. Race 2 comes back around. Mark takes the win this time against Ashley Huffman. So, and then Travis Ringeth, co-star that comes on here, semi-finalist there.
Nice.
But wicked story. It's run for 40 grand for 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
In Edmonton, and Mark Simmons puts it in the final for both.
Yeah.
So,
Like, you got to be on your game to get that figured out and do that, right? Like, I say, it's one of those things. Sometimes you get into a weekend and you just get focused. Like, you get on a roll, and it's, if you look through all the results that were here this week, like what we talked about, I mean, there's a lot of examples of that, right? So it's really cool to see that type stuff, and especially in big money. Like, there's a lot of pressure when you start getting in late rounds, and to duplicate 2 big finishes in 2 races. Like, you come off that high of going to the final round and have to reset the same day and start all over again.
Oh, for
and then
sure.
do it. You know, that is fun.
Oh, wasn't red. He was 1 to Baker's 5. I thought it was red.
No.
I need to read more. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. There we go. James got the comment. Wasn't red. He was 1 to Baker's 5.
Wow.
So that's a good lap.
That absolutely is. Absolutely
Can't
is.
complain about that.
No.
Just going through here, seeing if we got any more notes from Canadian drag racing. That's pretty, like, I think we nailed the big stuff, right? I think
so. There was a lot of events over the last couple of weeks in Canada. The hard part is, you know, which ones do you grab and choose? We tried to pick some of the biggest ones, some of the ones with the cool stories. There was a lot, and that's the cool part. Like, we're going up and down the Bracket Life page, you know, Canadian Master schedule. We were doing this before the show, right? Somewhat looking forward to what are we looking forward to next week? But you go back to just the last couple of weeks, there was racing everywhere, right? So it was fantastic to look at this and be able to talk about some of it. But speaking of which, where are you heading next? What's on the schedule before the next podcast?
The schedule for this weekend, actually, I'm heading to North Bay or in that area for a wedding for a fellow racer. Screwy Lewis Gagne is getting married. Him and Lindsay are having their wedding Saturday. So the whole Ogilvy family and myself were rolling up there Saturday, taking the motor home, staying for the night, coming back Sunday. And then after that, we're in Elliott Lake. That's what we're doing. So that'll be fun. I get back there for the North Shore Challenge after missing it the last 2 years.
Yep.
So it'll be great to be back. That's what I've got going on until we're back on here. How about you, Andrew?
So I think if I can get my stuff fixed, we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but I didn't really allude to this much. I had the shifter go south in the Mustang, so we were hand shifting it all weekend at Grand Bend, which I kind of enjoyed. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it was interesting to be able to move the ET points up and down the car on dial-ins. So if I get all that fixed, and we're going to head to Cayuga. We got NHRA Wally races with the Race Cayuga Sportsman Series. There's a ton of stuff out here too. Like, this weekend, all 3 tracks are running. Grand Bend's got a points race. St. Thomas is a points race. The weekend after, we're shutting down to maintenance everything to get ready to go to Race Week at Quebec.
Yes.
I figure I need a weekend to prepare for that. But Rocky Mountain Nationals coming up this coming weekend. See, Naperville's got racing this weekend. Saskatchewan International Raceway is running. Then you've got Grand Bend again. They've actually got 3 in a row. This past weekend, one coming up, and then Summer Smash. The North Shore Challenge at Elliott Lake is the one you're talking about. Naperville's got racing coming up. Toronto Motorsports Parts Canada heads up. Rad Torque's got a bracket race the weekend after that. I mean, if you hit up, it's amazing when you look at it. And I every time I pull the calendar up and we go through this, I'm always beside myself with how much racing there is across this country every weekend from every track. And even the tracks that we're discovering as we go along this, right? Was it Area 53? That was a track that, a couple shows ago we found results on and didn't know it existed, right? Gimli, Raceway out there. That was a track that actually I just forgot about when I was looking through the iTray stuff, looking to put info together for my article on Beta. I'm like, oh yeah, Gimli Motorsports Park. It had signed as an iTray track back in like 2002. But it's really neat to see what's going on in Canada every week and hear about all the stories and follow the results. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So like I said, it's a lot, right? There's a lot coming up. There's a lot going on. Make sure, check out the winners page on the Bracket Life brand website. Submit the winners form. Go through it. Tell us about your win, about your event or a friend's win, a great weekend, a great story that you want to be told here. We'd love to hear about it. We're going to do our best to get all the results and share them all with you and celebrate all of that. Really cool to do stuff like this, like bringing Craig on to do it, talk about the race. So, yeah, make sure you submit all that stuff. Let us know how you make out. We appreciate you guys always checking in, watching the broadcast, listening to the broadcast, whether you do it live on Facebook or YouTube, watch it back on either one of those, or if you're following us on any of the podcast platforms and checking us out there as well. We're getting great feedback. If you're checking out any of that, make sure you leave us a review, share it with a friend if you see any value in this and what we're trying to do and accomplish for Canadian drag racing. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Keep up with everything that Andrew and I have going on and everything that Rachel and I have going on with Bracket Life at the racetrack. When we're not at the racetrack, there's always a million things happening. So make sure you follow all that. Thanks again to Craig for coming on. Andrew, thanks again for doing this all the time, all the effort you put in. Rachel and I really appreciate it. And everybody that stuck with us, I know this one was a little bit longer, but there's a million things to talk about, man. Right? So we got to make sure.
What we were excited about in the winter when we said, wait till Canadian drag racing season starts. We got a lot of stories to tell. Yeah. And we had a lot tonight, and it was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun finding them, reading them, being there, and being able to tell them on here. So I hope everyone appreciates it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. So
absolutely. So thank you guys again. We'll see you back in 2 weeks with more racing stories. We can talk about that. Talk about everything that Andrew's got going on, getting ready to come to Luskville, come to Quebec for the first time to race. So that'll be exciting, right? We were in time about maintenance. So you're going to do a bunch of maintenance for it. Let's talk about it in the middle of the year.
Yep.
We'll go from there.
I like it. Sounds good.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys all. Have a good night. Have fun. Let us know how you make out, and good luck at the racetrack.
See you then.
Canadian racers, make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from pro1safety.ca. Pro One Racing and Safety products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro One Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro One Racing and Safety products. Join the winners. Choose Pro One. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at pro1safety.ca.